when you're playing against TF, you know, the ability to just port in, light up the map, give you perfect information for HKA was ultimately that tool that was impossible to overcome. And that was how they were able to get themselves the early Baron. It was how they were able to push in and siege out those 2 early inhibitor turrets. And that just creates a gold lead that is insurmountable for Isurus.
Definitely doesn't. I think you can see Isurus realizing some of that roam potential was what cost them. Getting rid of the Pike, who is a very good support roamer. They'll remove the Kiana as well. Means that Zaya's on the cards. Syndra taken away and alongside the Gragas by HKA. And there is the Zaya straight away for Isurus Gaming.
But I do like this. I mean, when you are going to leave up Zaya, you may as well leave up Kai'Sa as well. They're the 2 big team fighting 80 carries. And you can see that HKA just acknowledging the, I guess, power of Syndra on the current patch. Coming into day 1 of Plains groups, I was certain this champion was going to be very hotly contested. The ability to be able to flex in the bottom lane, create kill lanes, and ultimately have push versus nearly everyone does just mean that Syndra, as far as mages go, is towards the top end. And there are so many good AD bruisers to partner with it at the moment that it just fits into any composition. I feel like there is no downsides of this champion.
We will see the Rakan and the Ezreal locked in straight away by HKA. So taking the Rakan away from Isurus Gaming, but also Kaiwing's played it 3 times at this tournament and won every single time. So this is one of his signature champions. It will be answered by an Akali from Isurus.
Okay, so the Akali was able to get an early kill, was able to get towards items, however, did not do all that much in the side lane. So I feel like Saya going back to a comfort pick is good, however, needs to have a better mid-game performance. Once you pick up Gunblade and Boots too, you should be uncontested on Summoner's Rift as an Akali, especially if you're going to run Ignite. You have to look to kill your opponent. That's not what happened last game. So Saya needs to step up.
I think that mid-jungle 2v2 is definitely going to be a focus point for us across the course of this series, because Odi and Saya have been those players that really haven't stepped up for Isurus so far. HKA here hovering over the Gangplank. They will lock that in as their final lock of this first phase, and now we move on to the bans. Gangplank, of course, very strong in the top lane, 3Z, comfortable on it.
Yeah, he's played it as his 3rd most played champion across the summer split of the LMS. He's one of those players that is quite unassuming in laning phase, but has his moments, has those big outplay potentials. And I liked his patience in the last game. I think it's very easy if you're getting blown out of a top lane to start trying to fight for pushback, you know, going too early, putting yourself in a situation where your lane gets frozen against you and you're really prone to being picked on. This time around, it was actually great patience for him to just be able to wait for Kaiwing and Unified to access that top side of the map and bail him out. Then from there, he just did his job. Got caught out once, I think, in the side lane, but apart from that, pretty flawless game. Gangplank just makes playing weak side even easier. He's the best weak side top laner with the ultimate, with the great wave clear he has, with the oranges.
A little bit surprised to still see the Tristana ban, although she can be flexed into the mid lane. When you already have Zaya and Akali, and you know Saya is so strong on Akali.
It's all about the top lane. Marksman's destroy Gangplank.
Okay.
The ability to outrange the barrel and hit them, and then be able to all in him, makes it a nightmare. We used to see Lucian as a primary AD carry. However, we have seen the rise of things like Quinn and Tristana up there. And I think that this is actually, when you have 3 bans and you think that you've got the perfect composition so far, just be aware of the fact that Bugax is going to go at 3Z, and he has shown he will play lane counters. So respect it and ban them away.
Makes sense, Spawn. That's why you're the analyst, and I'm just here shouting about the team fights. Lee Sin will once again go across towards Crash. He's 4-0 at Worlds Plains, so still not as much respect as perhaps you might expect from Isurus Gaming towards that pick. They'll lock in an early game jungler for themselves, though Odi is going to be on Elise.
And the saying stats don't lie is actually the biggest lie that a lot of people tell you, right? However, in this case, I feel like Crash is a very good Lee Sin player, and it should be respected. Eventually, you do expect to see it taken away. And, you know, we mentioned lane counters. I feel like Elise is always the best jungler if you don't get the hardest counter, because her early pressure is just unrivaled. The fact that you're going to bring mixed damage to the cleared lane, you have the hard CC, you have the turret dive potential. Both the repel and the dismount mean that you can get underneath these turrets early and often, and this is a very telegraphed strategy. But with Lee Sin and TF, I feel like this strategy isn't necessarily the best, because once level 6 hits, it's going to be very hard to execute on a lot of these dives.
It definitely is, but can Isurus play through the early game like they did in the group stage, get ahead before perhaps level 6 comes around, really snowball Bugax in that top lane, and shut down 3Z on the Gangplank?
Well, mate, they did last time. He was up like 20 CS in the Gnar versus Jace matchup. However, he was unable to, once level 6 was hit, maintain that pressure, start hitting the turret, taking down the plays, being able to rotate around the map. and help the rest of the lane. So I think like it doesn't matter. You can fall behind as 3Z. You know that you have the outscale here, especially into something like Kled. There is a little bit more hard force potential, a little bit more teamfight coming out of Isurus Gaming this time around. But I feel like if they, once again, don't really have great laning phases, this is going to become a difficult game to play.
Kind of the story that we saw in Game 1. Isurus putting a lot of stake in their laning phase, in the pure mechanical matchups that they have found themselves in. Bugax will be trying to get ahead of 3Z on that gangplank. Bot lane is one we haven't talked about too much. Of course, Ezreal's so safe down there. Rakan as well, a relatively safe support. So don't expect HKA to be doing much proactive, but a Xayah and a Thresh can find picks, especially around that level 6.
Yeah, so we'll see whether that is going to be the area of the map that Oddie prioritizes, because we do say that Oddie does like to impact top side of the map, and the Warangulus and Slow are just there as the insurance policy, as the late game scaling. However, the problem in this game in particular is the one thing you can't buy is range, and it's going to become very difficult to get onto the gangplank, to get onto the Ezreal. So I would like to see an early visit down there, you know, trying and shut down Unified.
Game 2 of this best of 5. Winner goes through to groups. Loser, well, their year is over. 2019 coming to an unceremonious end. HKA group up as 5 here, maybe thinking that there could be an invade from Isurus.
And I love this. Gangplank has a really good level 1. Twisted Fate has one of the best level 1s in the game. And Rakan's no slouch either, right? So being able to move in as 5, and as soon as you just pull a gold card, hold it over your head, everyone has to cede pressure against you. You can see that's exactly what happens here.
Well, there's no
trading sides of the map.
They don't really cede too much pressure, because they gain some pressure on the other side.
Sure.
There's pressure trade.
But I think the only reason that you would go for this invade as Isurus is because you know that they fight you at
okay,
level 1 on
beat
the
you at
other
level
side
1,
of the
so you
map.
don't
Yes,
want to meet them.
Exactly.
That makes sense, Spawn. There are a couple of oracles being picked up here by Isurus. The wards from HKA will spot them out as they push forward, but they've actually grouped up as 5 once again. They wanted to take a fight if perhaps a couple of members from HKA had stayed around.
I don't think they wanted a fight. I think they just wanted to be able to regain control of Oddie's red buff, because otherwise his early game is going to suck. You see he's picked up the Hunter's Machete. That means he's going to struggle to clear out things like Krogs, like Raptors. He's going to have a very quick clear on solo camps, however. And I think that's a pretty well navigated level 1 from Isurus, but also you have to acknowledge the fact that HKA do have perfect information that everything that just happened.
They do. I think Isurus do also have some knowledge of where Crash is starting, because they have that ward on the red, so they will know Crash is at his blue, even though Kaiwing and Unified walk straight into the lane instead of giving him a leash.
Okay, so I'd love to pay attention to exactly what Oddie is doing here. He's taking 2 of the small wolves, so he's able to get level 3 off the single camp. So you can see right now, actually he takes the whole camp.
The big one.
So it's going to be slightly slower. Normally what you do as an Elise, you take the 2 small wolves, you move into your blue buff, you move into the Gromp, and then you're going to be level 3 and you're going to be ready to gank top side of the map a little bit quicker than what he currently is. It's one of the healthiest clears also on Elise. This time around not going for it, actually took away the whole camp, and that means Crash's clear is just going to be faster.
And the reason that's so important is if Oddie can get to that gank first, they can try and get Bugax rolling. The power of Elise and a Kled when you're ganking is so impactful, but here, he's actually just going for a full clear, not even going up towards topside.
And one of my favorite games to play in League of Legends is who wins the 1v1, right? And the answer is always in jungle, whoever face checks.
Okay.
Because if you just get a full rotation of spells out, you're able to kite a little bit, then a second rotation of spells, the person that face checks just always dies. So being there first in the early game is so incredibly important. You can see that Oddie actually looking for this invade now.
Hook's going to land on Skywing. He will battle dance his way away. Crash coming in with the Sonic Wave. Oddie trying to get some damage down onto Crash, but that Lee Sin is very, very healthy. Oddie's not going to get any extra damage out of it. Smite comes down. Oddie will steal away a single Razor Beak, but it's the big one, and that's the important one.
However, has also secured topside, because now Crash cannot walk into that top river. Means that the Rift Scuttler on top should be going down. No camp. Oh, Hook's on.
Yeah, Slow landing another great hook. Knight's already popped here. Kaiwing's going to be able to battle dance out a couple of times, and does manage to get back underneath his towers, taking about half his HP for it. Burnt the heal as well, while Angelus will spot Crash on the Scuttler, which now means Oddie can look up towards that top. I think he's clearing out a ward right now with his oracles, and the question mark pings come down from 3Z.
However, you can see no priority over the mid lane, and there are no camps up there either. So if this dive does not work, it is ultimately Oddie that's going to miss out on 2 jungle camps worth of golden experience.
The wave's coming in right now. They're going for it. 3Z underneath this tower. Bear Trap on a rope was a mile wide. Even with the cocoon connecting, they do get the teleport out of mission. That's something, but That bear trap on a rope was nowhere near.
And I feel like Saya in the bottom lane should be defending Oddie's camps right now. He's getting counter jungled for both of the big camps, and no one has moved at all out of their lanes. That lane is actually pushing back in. They would have lost nothing if they cheat into the Fog of War. Jungling is a team game, always medic, and you can see right now that he's not getting the most help.
Yeah, Oddie is fortunate that Crash decided not to go for the Krugs, maybe respecting how quickly Oddie could get back onto the map. Pretty sure both of those Krugs are remaining, but only one Razorbeak, just a little baby chicken for him to pluck later on. And HKA have a small gold lead early in this game. A lot of that's the CS in this bottom lane. You can see just a slight lead for Unified. And of course, he's running Kleptomancy, as is Mission in the mid. So they're going to have small leads across the board. Isrus will be looking for that first fight, looking for that first kill to really try and get this earlier game composition online.
Yeah, and potentially a gank in the bottom lane as well. We already saw the aggression earlier.
So Kaiwing still has flash and can jump away. Unified actually burnt his flash there.
Had to. That was the prediction coming in. Knew that the Ezreal was going to E back towards the lane. Very good knowledge there from Slow to be able to throw out the skill shot. And whilst that doesn't look like much, that is a successful gank and should help with the lane pushing.
Bugax trading here onto 3Z in the top lane, jousting away from the barrels. Bugax has him on a rope, he's going to pull him back. One pocket pistol would be enough. 3Z flashing preemptively there, didn't want to get caught out by the shotgun from the Klep.
Okay, so I thought that he was just going to early flash there and try and guarantee one last auto on the rip back. That's generally what you see Kled players do. However, Bugax very aware of the fact that a TF ultimate is going to become back up and available. So I like the fact that he didn't actually go for that play, instead holds on to the summoner. If Oddie ever comes up, should be able to ultimately secure himself a kill, as another hook is going to land. Slow's really got his eye in this game, I feel.
Yeah, Thresh play has been phenomenal. There is an Infernal Dragon to fight around as well, so Isrus Gaming do not want to cede control of this bot side jungle. Last time it was just Clouds they were losing, and Infernal early on can be the difference maker in games like this. Oddie's fighting very much for control of this river. And
you can see that Unified actually up in gold even though he's down 10 CS, and that's just the power of Kleptomancy and the ability to be able to sell out items in the early game. Tabby is picked up for 3Z.
Being safe, Oddie here, the teleport coming in, Saya in the mid lane, trying to fight onto Mission. The Destiny is gonna come out, and that means Mission will get underneath the tower. Saya chases him down. We asked him to step up, and that's exactly what Saya has done.
What a beautiful play there from Saya, you know, once again taking the Ignite, saying, I will kill this lane. Is able to follow into the Destiny with that E. That is just great play coming through from the veteran from Latin America.
Perfect stuff there from Saya. Now he's 1-0 up in that lane, and Mission, no flash, no teleport, no Destiny, is going to be in no man's land for a while. Oddie could look for a mid lane gank. TF, very easy to land a flash cocoon onto that Twisted Fate. Crash clearing out some vision as he can.
With the Sork Boots picked up, I don't even know whether you need to go for the gank. This could just be a one-on-one. As we have a look at this play, that is just aggression from Oddie. Early Ignite down as well. The E is there to follow out onto the Destiny. That is beautiful play.
That's really, really well played there by Saya. Using the flash at the end to avoid that final turret auto attack could have taken him out. And now we'll see how much the 11-time Latin American champion can have an impact on this game.
And it's the little things in League of Legends. You know, having spoken to pro players and worked with them in the past, the smallest things can change the attitude. You know, one good play in a mid game can get the whole team really back aligned and on the same page. All of a sudden, game one seems like a very long time ago. If you're saying you've got yourself that 10 CS lead, you've picked yourself up a solo kill, and because of the manner in which it is in, you've probably got a little bit of that swagger back in your step as well.
Got some confidence. You have people like Bugax on the Kled who can roam down towards that mid lane as well, but at the moment, Oddie and Bugax looking up towards top. 3Z, no flash. Here comes the charge. Trying to catch him out underneath this tower. Cannon Barrage used the flash in from Oddie. 3Z surviving for the moment. Tower aggro still on Bugax. He's going to fall. And 3Z has just absolutely outplayed them. Crash flashes in. Oddie goes down. HKA collapse in the top lane.
And again, they go for the turret dive. And again, it is 3Z that just stands tall, calls his top laner into the right area of the map this time around, and styles on Isrus Gaming, Bugax, as well as Oddie. That was one of those plays that could have broken the game wide open. You're looking at plays, you're looking at a top laner that no longer had Cannon Barrage, no longer had TP, but because it went so bad, that has just changed the course of this early game.
You can see HKA now have 1,000 gold lead, predominantly off that play, and once again, it's Crash on his Lee Sin that is making these counter ganks work, that is finding these kills. He has just been absolutely monumental on this pick.
And again, up until that point, the early game was going so well. Top lane was getting bullied. Saya picks himself up a solo kill. Oddie looked like he was in the right places at the right time. But now it is still a 1,300 gold lead for HKA at only 9 minutes. It looks like all this proactivity, all the ability to make these plays is leading to ultimately nothing in the early game for Isurus.
They are going to be able to get this Infernal Dragon. Crash was on the top side of the map, so Oddie knows he's relatively safe in getting it. Still only level 5 on that at least, though. Level advantages in the top lane and in the bottom lane for HKA.
So this time around, we're in a similar situation where both teams probably want to play 1-3-1. However, with the Rakan, so we actually take another look at this replay. So this is 3Z. Dancing around his turret, making sure that he is kiting out as best as he possibly can. Creates great distance, actually, with the minions there. Minion block is one of those things that you can really exploit in League of Legends. So fantastic job. And once again, just calling Crash into the right area of the map. You know about 30 seconds beforehand when they're stacking waves into you if you're about to be dove. And I think that that play was very easily read, very easily telegraphed. Maybe it should have still worked, but certainly did in this case.
Yeah, all it took was a bit of a mechanical outplay from 3Z to survive. You can see Crash's record here at Worlds 2019, 4-0 around his team. A substantial amount. That's the jungle proximity, 40% of the time between 3 and 15 minutes. He is by a teammate and gets a small gold lead for himself as well.
Yeah, and I think this is a way to play Lee Sin, especially when you have a support like Kai, when you probably want to be linking up as much as possible. If anyone brings CC to a Lee Sin to guarantee, you know, early damage, he's got the execute in his kit, he's got a lot of that burst. So I think that playing around your laners, playing around your supporters Lee Sin is very important, and Crash and Kaiwing seem to enjoy being on each other's screen.
Oddie actually going to start up the Rift over here. Didn't realize there's a ward in the back of the pit. The Oracle's not going to catch him out, and Oddie in no man's land once again has to jump away with the repel, but he didn't clear out the back of that pit effectively.
However, they now have more numbers up here, as it was the early rotation from Wara to come up towards the Rift Herald. I like this play. They need to get the early game back in their control. I was starting to hint at the fact that this time around, not only have you got a TF ultimate, but you have Kaiwing to attack the 3. They need to have an early game lead.
HKA know they're taking this fight with Saya and Slow from the side. There's the play, pulls 3Z back. They're looking for the damage on him. Saya, decided there. Didn't want any piece of that action. Jumps in, jumps out.
And I think that's a little bit of a callback to Crash. Crash at the end of the last game was just diving in on Lee Sin, leaping back out with that safeguard. Saya goes, you know what, mate? I can do it as well. This time it's going to be our Rift Herald. And this is what I'm saying, one play, and all of a sudden the spring in Saya's step certainly appears to still be there.
He's definitely got his swagger on, as you said earlier on. The Rift Herald sitting on Oddie. Isurus will be wanting to use to get some of those plates. We're still only 12 minutes into the game, but HKA do have the gold lead. You've got teleports on Unified and 3Z if fights start off towards the other sides of the map, so HKA can be there very quickly.
And now you have 2 minutes as Oddie to pick your next play. You want to be able to get something rolling with that Rift Herald. Pick a lane, get the early vision down, look for your kill, and then be able to translate it into some turret plays. We've already mentioned they've got the rage advantage, they've got the global advantage. I think ultimately they also have the scaling advantages. So this is going to have to be a very powerful and decisive mid game from Isurus if they want to equalize this at 1-1.
And something Isurus were always so good at doing in the Liga Latin America was accelerating their gold lead. At the 20-minute mark, they'd be at like 4,000 gold, and then they'd snowball that to 7 at the 25-minute mark. They were very good at taking an advantage and then taking the game out of the enemy's control. We haven't seen that Isurus so much at Worlds. Usually they stall a little bit in the mid-game, so we want to see the domestic Isurus here. Maybe a play down towards the bottom lane will make that happen. 3Z doesn't have the flash, has the cannon barrage, but with the Rift Herald coming in, they're looking for Crash instead. Saya has found the flank. Here comes the charge underneath the tower. They're going on the chase, but Crash able to get off towards the back of it. Now the Rift Herald charges in, takes down 2 plates. 3Z underneath his towers. Isurus trying to make that play, but once again, it has failed. HKA able to react, and Isurus get out of there with nothing.
However, this time around, they do get the teleport out of Unified. That should mean that in the top lane, Warangulus can push. They did get 2 turret plates, and they lose nothing in response. I think that is a better navigation of the turret type. Still incredibly well played from HKA.
Flame misses, hook misses.
I think you call that the yellow star over here.
Well, I've seen myself do it enough that I call it a medic.
Okay, makes sense.
I'm not a great Thresh player.
I'm terrible at support, mate. Don't worry about it. However, 3Z also uses that teleport to get into the top lane, so not all that many plates falling down. However, Global is now going to be in the favor of Isurus Gaming. They still have Bugak's TP. Dragon is about to come up and available.
And they have closed that gold gap as well.
Yeah.
A couple of minutes ago, we were saying it's 1,300. Now it's down to about 300-400, getting up to 5 sometimes. But now with a Hextech Gunblade complete on Seiya, with an Essence Reaver complete on War Angelus, maybe they can look for one of these fights with their strong players. Slow will meet Kai Wing. Oddie was on his way across, but...
And thank goodness. I was like, Seiya, where are you going, buddy? You got your 2 items. Why are you going back towards that mid lane?
Side lane.
Get in the side lane. Make sure that you're looking for that 1v1 outplay. You've got all your summoner spells back up and available. There's only Merc Treads into that TF.
I think the thing for Seiya is, though, because he is running the Ignite, doesn't have the teleport, if a fight starts somewhere else, it's a lot harder for him to get there.
No, it's not. You just have to land the perfectly timed E and then be disciplined enough to not take it early in the fight. That's how you do it.
Sure can flip in. Here comes the quickness from Kai Wing. The Destiny following them up. Mission hasn't got an E on him. No chase going in, but Mission's low already, having to flash away. Here comes Seiya, looking for the engage. Perfect execution over 4. Could be there. He takes Crash. He jumps forward. That's 2. Seiya stepping up for Isurus Gaming.
And the chosen one of Latin America, Seiya, able to pick up the kills there. We said that this game was going to be on him. Generates the early game gold lead, gets the mid-game skirmish, and now they have the gold lead at 15 minutes into the game. What a play.
That was the play they were waiting for. 5 kills to 2. They're going to break this mid lane tower. They'll get a Mountain Drake alongside their Infernal. They take turret in the bot lane. Isurus Gaming have upped the tempo. They've upped the pace. They have put their foot on the accelerator, and now it's on HKA to react.
And we thought it was going to be Bugax and Oddie dictating the pace of this game. They pick for it in Champion Select, but they fall back to the legendary mid laner. Really nice start to this play because once again, you have a numbers mismatch. However, it is the small micro decisions that are here for Isurus Gaming. And then as soon as you're in this situation, as an Akali, you are so happy. Everything has been used. There are no summoner spells left up and available. And you can just see the raw damage at 1 item completed is enough to clean up the back of the team fight.
Gets the triple kill, already has an Oblivion Orb. Hope he doesn't get that up into the Morellos, doesn't really need it this game, but the extra penetration you get from just that part of the item can do a huge amount of work.
The only time you need it is if you think he's going to be playing into 3Z, because oranges are very annoying for Seiya to deal with, and Ignite obviously has a cooldown. You don't want to be dealing with that. So I can understand why he would go Morellonomicon this game if he feels like he must continue to kill people in the side lane and snowball. However, I agree with you. I would just love him to go towards something like a Deathcap, maybe a Zhonya's Hourglass if he feels like he needs to team fight a little bit more. Certainly better build paths available right now for Seiya.
And we'll see who HKA decide to deal with him, because at the moment, 3Z has Ninja Tabis and a Trinity Force. There's no magic resist there. Mid lane, Mission has the Merc Tread, so maybe you want to put him in the side lane, but he's been struggling to deal with Seiya as well. All of Isurus Gaming here up towards the top side, apart from Bugax, who's isolated down towards bot. But another tower falls, that's all of the outer turrets down, as Isurus continue to put themselves in the driver's seat. Bugax here needs to get away, but can just joust. Kai Wing pops the quickness as well. Very preemptive there from the Rakan. And
I love what Bugax was doing there. He knows that he's weak side right now and he has no vision, so he has to use his body as a ward. It is very hard.
3Z trying to deal with Seiya, but he is unstoppable. Oddie takes a lot of tower shots. Would have fallen, I think, if that final one had hit. But now, Seiya, 5-0-1. This has become the Seiya show.
And you said, who are they going to send to deal with him? Well, I think the answer should be not the Gangplank, because that wasn't even close right there. You can see this is going to be another turret falling down, and there is no response on the other side of Summoner's Rift. You can see that they're using the control they have in top lane jungle to be able to pinch that creep wave, ensure there's no push mid. And we already talked about how well Bugax avoided being dove in that bottom lane by scouting out the rotation early. Isurus look like a transformed team.
They really do, and you can see this is that gold acceleration I was talking about. In the Liga Latin America, at 20 minutes, they'd be 4,000 to 5,000 gold ahead, and they would keep that scaling up to the 25-minute mark. Here at Worlds, they've really struggled to keep that gold on the up and up.
Yeah, they certainly have. However, this game seems to be a little bit more like home soil. You know, getting more comfortable there. Mid laner performing much better than we've seen at Worlds in its entirety so far. And everyone else still doing their job. Where Angela's still on track to be that late game scaling AD carry. We've talked about the lethal tempo plus double crit item build before for Xayah. It means that her power curve is very smooth on the current patch. And I just feel like, you know, 4,000 gold in the league, it's not going to be the same pressure style game that we've seen out of HKA. Now they need to do the things we're talking about. You know, maybe shadow the Gangplank in, look to pick on Bugax, trade an objective for topside control. I would really like to see some creative solutions out of HKA because What I don't want to see is another passive mid-game into Baron into closeout for Isserus Gaming. I feel like you need to be able to do something here to shake that up.
But HKA in groups were more passive. When they were losing to Mega, they waited for Mega to make a bad call at the Baron, and then they struck. They're a reactionary team if they're behind in the mid-game. So as much as I agree with you that I would like to see HKA try and do something proactive, go down swinging at least, I doubt we're going to see it. I think Isserus Gaming will be the ones to dictate the pace for the rest of the game.
And I really love the fact that with the Dragon coming up and available in a minute, it's going to be a very early Baron. Bugax might be caught out.
Oh, he uses the charge. Dragon Rage kick is still available, but just knocks Bugax away from Crash. Crash didn't want any more of that.
Okay, when it's a 3-on-1 and you're kicking him away and saying, you know what, go on, get out of my jungle. That's a pretty bad sign. And what I was going to say is they're actually playing heavily around Saya. They're using him as a strong side and gaining control. And always Bugax is looking for information before he goes to his lane. So he's not getting caught out. You know, in fact, in this time around, he soaks up a lot of that pressure. And now Isserus can either look to dive this turret if they think they have the numbers advantage, or collapse back into Fog of War, get themselves an Infernal Dragon, and then look to control top side.
You can always tell where Isserus want to play around by where their wards are. When Saya was up towards the top side, they had littered that red side jungle with wards. Here, I think the pictures speak for themselves. 8 or 9 wards sitting in that blue side jungle. And Saya is the one pushing in the bottom lane, while Angelus will take a Lantern to safety, and the Infernal Dragon up in just 16 seconds time. Saya 1,500 gold ahead of anyone in the game.
And now, is that going to be enough of a chunk for them to feel like they can challenge this Infernal? Looks like no. Looks like they once again want to get Crash into that top side. Very good pathing here. Has avoided all information.
So Bugax doesn't have charge. And I think that is quite important. Bugax does show, but Crash, as you say, spotted on control ward. He's not going to be able to do too much.
Okay, so seeding bottom side control, just ensuring that this wave doesn't get frozen, that they're able to ensure that off the bounce, 3Z will continue to accumulate farm. Certainly is important on something like a Gangplank. Going for a very reserved build. It looks like he's going towards what should be a Sterix as his second item. So he picks up his Jerome's Fist as well as the pickaxe. But I feel like this is another non-contest. They weren't able to trade objective. If you allow the next objective to go down, which is most likely going to be the Baron on the top side of the map, that is going to be very rough. I would like to see, with the vision they currently have, just get people down into this river. Try and lay a track. You still have yourself a Rakan with his ultimate available. You have yourself a Trinity Force Ezreal. Doesn't look like they're going to be there in time, however. Yep. Not a good tempo reset. And it should be Isserus Gaming that are first onto the map.
Isserus have a 4,000 gold lead at the 21-minute mark. Double needlessly large rod on the side of Saya. He's very powerful now. I think he's sitting about 500 gold away, about 800 gold away from finishing his Rabadons. So that is a incredibly powerful Akali, especially when you look at Mission has the Wit's End. You've got Trinity Force on him as well. Doesn't have that Hex Drink that we talked about last game to save against the burst that Akali's going to put out.
And when you talk about fundamental League of Legends, this is what we mean. Look at how Isserus Gaming waited for numbers to show. They saw TF topside, they see 3 people mid lane, they know they can go in and sweep out that control. Once again, Saya is looking for numbers before he goes to a wave, and he might have caught out Mission here.
Mission flashes away. Saya didn't hit the Shuriken Flipper. He's going to chase forward with the Hextech Gunblade, forces Mission away.
And now they just have complete topside control of the jungle. As simple as that, they're not going to be able to be pushed off this. You can see that Gangplank, bottom side of the map, still hasn't got 2 completed items. He doesn't want to fight. And if they just hold vision line here, eventually they know, because there is no control ward in the pit, all other wards will expire, and then they can go back and collapse onto Baron. As long as they continue to hold priority over these waves, and it has to be a face check from HKA to regain control.
And this is the thing, people don't always respect the slow waiting game when you push into the enemy jungle, because it's not just about clearing out vision in the enemy jungle, it's also knowing all of the wards that were in the river have now died. Maybe we didn't sweep one, maybe we missed one. We might as well just wait for them to die out. We've kept HKA penned back so they've never been able to reach the river, and then we can make sure we go towards that Baron. And that's exactly what Isserus Gaming are doing here.
And you can see how low Crash is. You know, every time they go forward, even though the skill shots are currently whiffing, they're just chipping away at health bars, ensuring that more and more damage is coming across. They're taking away jungle camps. You know, you're losing out creeps right now on the mid lane wave as well. This really is very nice macro play from Isserus Gaming. And because they have push in bottom lane as well, if they do want to bring Gangplank to the play, as they have done, this bottom lane turret now becomes pressured, and you don't have to force a play.
And part of the reason that you bring Gangplank across there is, you said it, Crash was so low, he had to reset. So HKA didn't want to have a 2-man disadvantage around that Baron if it started. Destiny used here.
Just to check Baron.
Yep.
That's what that Destiny is used for. Wants to be able to know if they are on the big purple worm, because once again, all of those wards, including the one on top of the Baron pit, have now expired. They've held control of the area for long enough. They should now be looking for this pick. This is the time right now when you go.
They're going in, looking for Crash, who jumps across the wall. Kaiwing still there, acting as a bodyguard for his jungler. Unified clearing out mid. Mission still up towards the top lane. Has managed to sneak a control ward into the river bush, which I don't think Say is going to check. So there is a flank ward potential for HKA.
But who's going to flank? None of these champions want to flank. Every single one of them want to be there before the fight has started. Arguably TF, right? However, Oddie goes in.
Gets the lantern out, but here comes Kaiwing with the flank, and there's the cannon barrage, and maybe they've overstayed. Kaiwing's gonna fall. Oddie's jumped up with the repel, slow, getting chased down. It's a double for Crash. Here goes Saya, though, looking for the kills. Trying to jump onto the back line, gets knocked back. Jumps away with the perfect execution. Unified still on the chase. Well, Angelus there, the front man. Has the Feather Storm. HKA won't chase any further. 3Z coming in, clearing out some vision. HKA take a 2-for-1 fight in their own jungle.
And you should take that. You know, you're able to regain control of the Baron pit. That 5-minute process that we just saw now starts from scratch again. They shorten the gold lead, and that was a really well-executed play, because you could see that was greed coming out from Oddie. Don't really know why, as one person, he's looking to contest the red buff. I feel like this should either be a call for an all-out team fight or just bailing out. You can see, because Saya isn't here, the strongest member, you probably should not be looking for this play. HKA, they know that they have a window to be able to go for this fight, and they execute on it really well. Crash once again with the hero play, picking up the double kill, and I feel like at this stage, you can't get onto the backline. You know that you get outranged. It is very hard to deal with Unified with the TF there to peel, and you just have to back off.
You can see the damage that 3Z put down in that fight. The cannon barrage was zoning. There was no real way around it. Now, well, 3Z's not in the best of shapes. Saya will help Oddie get that kill. Destiny comes out. They're looking for War Angelus in the mid lane. He still has the Feather Storm and the Flash. Crash going in, the Destiny coming out. Oh, but War Angelus takes down one. He does fall in response.
And the reason that's so important is because you feel like if that was Crash still alive, it could be a Baron call. The jungler would still be up, and the AD carry, all that consistent damage is gone. However, the ability to trade 1-for-1, sure, you did have to use your Flash, but it means that you don't lose anything else on the map.
ISG Gaming, 26 minutes in, have double Infernal, double Mountain, and a 3,000 gold lead. We'll have another look at that play in the mid lane.
And this is a TF ult purely for information at the beginning. You can see that they know, due to the TF ult, that is a completely isolated War Angelus. Sure, it will come in the end.
Oh, ISG have started this one up. Mission's up towards the side. Crash only just back alive, 1,000 HP. There's the cannon barrage. Unified trying to get it, but Oddie will secure it with the smite. And Isurus with a good call there, knowing the enemy jungler was down.
And knowing that, you know, if you don't have an AD carry, most people aren't going to expect you to be on the Baron. You don't have that consistent damage. However, Bugax on the Kled is going to bring a lot of that. So I think that that's a really smart call to be able to go towards that objective. Now with double Mountain Drake, double Infernal Drakes, and a Baron, this is going to become one of those closeouts that if you get anywhere near a turret, they just fall over.
Especially since Saya has got himself a Rabadon's Death Cap. Black Cleaver and Titanic Hydra finished on Bugax. 3 items on the AD carry, Infinity, Essence Reaver, and Rapid Fire Cannon. There are items on HKA. They do have, as we said, they've got the range advantage as we get towards this later portion of the game, and they haven't fallen so far behind in gold that it's an insurmountable deficit. But the real concern for HKA has to be who deals with Saya.
Yeah, absolutely, in the side lane. And how do you deal with this Baron buff, you know, with the double Mountain Dragon? So if they get through this Baron, I will say once again, they have an opportunity to be able to stall, get items, and try and look for, you know, a 40-minute team fight. However, this Baron is a task at hand right now. You can see that it's going to be the full court press. Every wave is going to be pushed up, and they're going to try and pull this HKA team across the map, make them make bad decisions, and an opportunity now for ISG Gaming to break the base in this series for the first time.
Tier 2 still stands in mid and in the bottom lane. Bugax is all the way back near the midpoint of that bottom lane of the map. Kaiwing getting some vision here onto Saya. The cannon mitten just doing a little bit of chip damage over towards the inhibitor, and you can see how much the gold snowballed in favor of Isurus, but how little they've actually been able to make that mountain climb higher throughout the course of the game.
It looked like it was on track to climb higher, and then that one team fight happened, right? So I think that we should still give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, pushing in waves, they're actually being able to sync their waves up, get multiple waves on the turret. This is when it becomes much harder to defend if you are HKA. The decision making now starts, and you can see that they're trying to prop everything up, not forcing on one particular side of the map with that TF ultimate, and they're going to start losing turrets. That's the second one that's fallen down in just this Baron buff, and there's no reason right now for Isurus Gaming to back away.
Gold lead goes up to about 6,000. The Baron power play, 3,000 already in their back pocket just from this single buff, and a minute left for it to go. Waves pushing in, mid wave a little bit earlier than perhaps the side waves. Here goes Crash, just going to get onto the cannon minion. This wave has been cleared out. Seiya still trying to do some damage in the top. Bugax down towards the bottom. You can see all inhibitor towers have been chipped away at, but none yet to fall.
And once again, it's Mr. Consistent. It's actually Warangelus who gets chunked out, and that means that it's very hard to now approach this turret. They should be defending mid right now, however. Turret will still fall down just thanks to that cannon creep.
Yeah, Seiya able to stay in range, keep the Baron buff on towards the minions, and that is the first inhibitor turret of this push broken. Now Warangelus in the mid lane has healed up, looking for an inhibitor tower here as well. Bot lane is very low, but now Baron buff about to fall off in 20 seconds time, and it looks like Isurus Gaming are satisfied with their results for now.
Okay, so only breaking the base in one area, and I feel like that is a good injection of gold for Isurus. They are about to get a third Infernal, and they probably want to be up on map with a fresh shop to be able to fight for that, so I do respect the tempo reset and being able to get on map early for the objective. However, HKA, they do weather the storm. They do still have very good scaling on their composition. So I think this is an opportunity for potentially HKA. You're probably going to have to let another Infernal go, but on that 3.5 item mark, try and contest around the next Baron.
And one of the key carries for Isurus throughout the course of the split and throughout the course of this game has been Seiya. Played in 12 splits, has made it to 11 finals, won every single time. Been to MSI 3 times, World 2 times. This is his third, I believe.
Absolutely, and we know that, it's now Warangelus who is the primary carry of this team, that Bugax has been having a terrific run, but with the caliber of mid lanes you're coming up against, Seiya needs to be able to elevate his performance from domestic split to something like what he's showing in this game. He's been very good in the past in international events of being able to step up when his team needs him the most. And, 5-0 and 2 on this Akali pickup, now with the 3 completed items, the core of the build. Next to no magic resistance, really going to be available right now, apart from a Hex Drinker, maybe a Wit's End, but that's not really going to do all that much. So certainly in prime position to carry the game.
5 dragons strong now on Isurus. They also have the Elder Dragon win condition, with 5 minutes left for that if the game continues to get delayed.
And I feel like even though that is there, they don't want that to be the win condition.
Yeah, you shouldn't play through that.
In a similar situation where I said HKA are going to look to close this one out in a very decisive manner in game 1, Isurus now will be judged on their ability to close this game out. Sure, it would feel very good getting the early lead that they were able to, getting the highlight play in the bottom river, but you also want to show that you're on a similar level, that when you do have these gold leads, that you don't allow windows to come back in. I feel like if this game goes for another 5 minutes, then HKA has had at least one shot at winning the game through, either a good team fight or a Baron secure.
We are getting towards the portion where AD carries matter most. Sonic Wave doesn't connect. Warangelus coming in from the side. The hook's going to connect. Crash goes golden for the second. But Warangelus keeps putting feathers down. Kaiwing jumping onto the back line, looking for the charm. Warangelus pops into the feather storm. Here comes the charge from the top side of the fight. Crash already down. Isurus now looking for more. Mission flashing forward, but he will fall. It's the double for Warangelus. 3Z falls as well. Bugax the one to take the kill. And Seiya looking for some just desserts. He flashes forward, goes golden. Here comes Bugax. Kaiwing will fall, Seiya escapes, and Unified is trying to fight up against a very tanky clan. He'll lose that. Clean ace for Isurus, and they are looking to close this one out.
And we said we wanted to judge them on the ability to close out cleanly. Well, they do that. They don't wait for the objectives. They take the fight, and they will take game 2.
After a demolition in game 1, Isurus will not go down without a fight, and they equalize the series.
And in the wise words of Max Atlas Anderson, that was 5 kills and 1 turret away from being a perfect game there, Medic. A much better performance this time around from Isurus Gaming. And a lot of it was on the back end of, that veteran presence in the mid lane. A much better performance from Seiya. Did not die that game either. And I feel like he would have a huge grin and a lot of belief now that this Isurus Gaming team can get it done.
That's the thing, it's about the belief. Warangelus was one of the key carries for them in groups. He played well again this game. 5-1-2 on the